Welcome to Alternate Ending, where we're discovering good movies one bad movie at a time. I'm your host, Robert Jarasinski. Across from me, my wife, Carrie Jarasinski. Carrie, I'm a little tired today. A little tired tonight.
Yeah? Why is that?
I feel like we've been putting in a lot of movie watching lately, and in a short period of time. This is obviously a shortened episode. Not shortened episode. Episode's going to be long, probably. We're going to be talking about our top movies of 2015. Well, not you and I, but we're bringing in a hired gun to do that. But it's a shortened week because we're heading on vacation after this, so we've had to condense the preparation for the episode to 1 week. Normally we get 2 weeks. This week we only got one. So just trying to cram in enough movies, and I know it sounds awful.
That's what I was just going to say. Is it the laying there that's really the most exhausting part?
It's so exhausting. It's so tiring.
Is it the remote control?
Lifting it up and down.
Yeah. Okay, I get that.
Yeah, driving to theaters.
Sure.
parking.
Holding your eyes open.
Yeah, it's a tough job. No, I'm tired. No, it's been a tough week. As far as just kind of work-life balance, everything else.
Are you gonna spend the whole time complaining?
No, I'm not gonna complain the whole podcast, but because I have a lot not to complain about. You're looking at my shirt right now. I should call it a jersey. We just finished watching the Super Bowl, and I've got to say I'm very proud of my Denver Broncos hometown, Denver, Colorado. Go Broncos! I don't feel like you watched any of the game. We hosted a Super Bowl party. I feel like your eyes were nowhere near the television because you were doing what?
I was eating.
Eating?
I was eating quite a bit.
I saw you on the computer, dabbling.
I was doing my homework.
You were prepping for the show.
I was doing my homework.
Whatever it takes. I want the listeners to understand that is our... we are tirelessly devoted to making sure that
I'm not that devoted. I mean, I was doing it 5 minutes ago.
During the Super Bowl. That's pretty impressive.
It was the Super Bowl, yeah.
But I also noticed a couple other things, too. I noticed... I'm looking at our two wine glasses. My wine looks to be a little bit of a different shade of red than yours does. What do you have in your glass? I'm drinking our usual Boda box wine, so also not very high end, but yeah, we've got a nice deep ruby red color, and you have a pink lemonade looking concoction over there with some ice cubes in it.
It's the Franz. It's the Franz.
You went with the Franz.
I did.
Okay, little white zin.
We were on a break for like 14 years, and then today.
You're welcoming it back.
We rekindled our friendship.
Open arms.
Yeah.
Well, let's dive in. I know we're expecting it to go pretty long with our top 5 movies of 2015. A lot to cover there. So I thought we could just jump right into our top 3 worth mentioning. So this segment for new listeners, this is where Carrie and I talk about the movies we watched since the last episode. We rank them, not necessarily, I don't necessarily rank them in order of things that the best movies. I select movies for this that I just think are worth mentioning, whether really good or really bad, and then I rank them from worst to first in the order that they should be seen. So again, it's been a short week. I had to cram in. I watched 7 movies in 1 week, it's a big week for me. So seven movies in 5 days. But really, I could only talk about the 3 worth mentioning, since the other 4, 2 of them were related to my top 5s of 2015. And then the other one was a wreck, and I can't remember why I couldn't talk about the other one. So
what's the first one?
You go first.
Okay.
Do you shortened week? We'll have some overlap, I imagine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure we will.
Interested to see what
we always say that, and then
interested to see the order then.
Oh, okay.
We'll unveil
this
these.
time I actually ordered them. I think.
Wow.
I know.
Speechless.
I know.
Wow. Almost dropped the box wine.
I know. All right, here we go. So my first one is I did song 1.
I have song 1
as worst
as my
or not worst, but the bottom
my third,
of the 3.
My third of my 3. You can't, you don't want to say worst because you 7 movies could have been all great.
I only
movies.
saw 4, so really my odds are going to be.
There,
But yeah, okay.
Song 1. All right, talk about song 1.
So yeah, so it's Anne Hathaway is the kind of the lead actress, and she I think she's living abroad. She lives somewhere else. She's in another country doing some philanthropic work or something. And she basically hears a call from her mom that her brother has been in a car accident. And he's...
Mary Steenburgen plays the mom.
I know. I
haven't seen her since Parenthood. I've seen her
since Back to the Future.
Okay. Well, then that's been a lot.
Oh.
Well, no, actually...
I mean, I maybe have. I was just trying to do a callback.
You mean Back to the Future Part 3 is what you were reaching for there.
I was.
Okay.
They're all the same.
Yeah, I actually don't remember if Parenthood or good movie, by the way. If you haven't seen Parenthood, they kind of did a TV show on NBC that's still running, maybe based on it. But
it might be. So anyway, so basically she comes back because her brother is in a coma, and then she finds all these things out about him that she didn't know, that he was really into music and that he was a really talented musician and that he followed this one particular musician.
Maybe obsessed, a little borderline obsessed with this guy.
Maybe there might have been like
Kinda creepy.
What are those things called? Like a, with candles and pictures. You know?
Like an effigy of some sort of
something like that. So anyway, one of those, and then comes back, and then so she kind of seeks out this musician to see what he's all about so that she can feel a little bit more connected to her brother. And then the movie's more about how the connection to the musician happens over the course of the movie. I thought it was cute.
Yeah, suffice to say for me, I don't think people need to really see this movie.
I don't think so.
Anne Hathaway is Anne Hathaway. She does a killer job.
Was it Netflix though?
It was Netflix. I think we saw it on Amazon. It was on Amazon. I had flagged it to watch on Amazon because Anne Hathaway. I'll give her a shot.
Was it on Prime though?
You have to have
that
Prime.
Matters.
Well, yeah, no, you can get it on Amazon. You have to pay for it. If you want it for free, you need it on Prime. But IMDb gives it a 5.8. Rotten Tomatoes 35. Yeah, that's pretty bad. 35%. 5.8 is not bad. Rotten Tomatoes 35%.
I feel like it was a cute concept though. Like I liked the little budding relationship between her and the musician.
I liked it. Obviously, pretend former musician that I was, like I like the idea of it. I think it does a lot of fun things with it in the sense where, yeah, he's just a regular, this guy, this musician, the one that Anne Hathaway's trying to connect with. He's just a real guy, but fans can. No fans ever came up to me, but
I came up to you.
That's true. You did come up to me.
No fans ever came up to you.
She's kind of like not in awe, but it's like awkward, like waiting for him after the show because like everybody's waiting to sign stuff. And
he was pretty good though.
But you know what bothered me too is like he played the same song like and I realized that was his set, but he would play the same song for every.
I didn't even notice that. I just noticed his hair.
Yeah. Okay. He did have good hair. Yeah. Interesting fact about this movie. So Scott Avett from the Avett Brothers, another band, actually auditioned for the role that Johnny Flynn ended up getting for this. He's a very talented musician, but when he did a read-through with Anne Hathaway, she pulled out the tears, she pulled out like the full acting chops, and he just was like, "No, there's no way I cannot hang with this person. We're in different categories of acting." So yeah, nice. For like one of our few alignments in the worth mentioning.
I think maybe the first.
One of the first. All right, what was number 2 for you?
I thought you were supposed to go. Oh, because it was the same. Oh, sorry.
Still learning.
Franz and I. The Franz and I have reconnected quickly, so sorry about that. So anyway, the next one I had was Theory of Everything.
Oh wow. Okay, so you saw something better. So how many movies did you see this week?
4.
You saw 4 movies in 5 days.
Yeah.
One of them was Song 1. That leaves 3. And in Theory of Everything, and you have that as your second movie.
I know, because it's probably your first, isn't it?
I do have Theory of Everything on here.
Did
it is my first.
It for you?
No, that's fine. That's the fun of the show.
So let's talk about that one.
All right, then let's jump right into Theory of Everything.
Maybe you talk about it since it was your first.
Sure. Theory of Everything, 2014 movie, 2 hours and 3 minutes. IMDb's got it at 7.7, so right under that 8.0, which really makes it a solid IMDb movie. Rotten Tomatoes, 80%, so critics really liked it. I don't know if you knew this, but it was based on the novel by Jane Hawking. So, I
did know that.
You did know that. Okay. So, I think a lot of people probably have seen this movie. If you haven't,
I don't think as many people have. Like, whenever I keep thinking that it's going to be one of those things that when I say it to people that they will.
So and
they haven't. It's one of those ones that's on people's list to see. Like, oh yeah, I heard that's probably good.
It's the story of Stephen Hawking's life. Not life. I would say probably from starting college life onward until where he is almost today, probably almost to the present. But really,
no, not really to the present.
Not to the
to like his
2000s.
Yeah,
I mean, so
I think it went to 95.
Sure, I'll say yes.
I was really into this movie time frame wise.
Well, sure. So
anyway,
relatively current state.
So like 20 years ago, yeah.
Yeah. So, so he It follows his life, but really what it does more is it follows the people or like the close person around him, which is his wife Jane, who she wrote the story, so obviously she's very very present in the movie itself too. And I thought it was really good. It won Best Actor for Eddie Redmayne, which I thought his performance after seeing all of the other 2014 nominees for Best Picture, I thought that he deserved that Best Actor nod. And then also nominated for Best Picture, Best Actress, Original Score, and Adapted Screenplay. So
before, when we started that movie, though, you were like, Eddie what's his face, Eddie Redmayne. You're like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this because it's Eddie Redmayne. What was it about him that you were?
I just don't.
What were you thinking was gonna let you down about him being?
I saw
the main
Jupiter
actor?
Ascending with Eddie Redmayne, and that was
good?
a terrible movie.
Oh.
And I didn't. He hasn't impressed me. This is just when you're given a role like this.
But do people know? I mean, Stephen Hawking. Like, do people know what that's?
No, talk. Yeah, go ahead. What about Stephen?
Well,
Hawking? Oh, you don't know either.
Well, no, I watched.
He has motor
movie.
neuron disease, which is
ALS.
ALS, or they don't like to call it Lou Gehrig's disease, but people probably know it better for that. So it's him dealing with kind of that in colleges, I guess, when he found out about it, and then kind of his struggle as he kind of
and
goes
his health
through it.
decline. I mean,
His
you
health
see
decline
his
through
major
it.
health decline.
And that was the interesting thing about learning about how it was shot. Most movies are shot out of order. Which for this particular movie as an actor would be extremely difficult to break in and out of that transition of as you're progressing through this illness to then have to stop and be like, oh, let's cut to a scene where you were not, 2 years, 10 years down this illness, and you have to kind of backpedal and then go back into it.
Sure.
That would be very difficult for me, and he found that to be extremely difficult during their production of it. I think it's a good movie. It's
an excellent movie.
Worth seeing.
I thought it was. I mean, you didn't even cry. Did
No,
you?
I was busy like turning to my left and seeing the tears well on your face.
I haven't had a good cry. So for anybody that's watching this, I haven't had a good cry in so long, movie-wise. Not that I cry all the time normally, but anyway. But really from a movie, like it takes a lot to choke me up these days for some reason. I think I'm kind of desensitized because there's so many things out there that try to be so extreme. And for some reason, I just cried in this one a lot. I just felt like it was tough to watch.
It's tough to watch, an illness, anybody with an illness who's
and the struggle,
achieved so much.
In that time, the struggle of him and how does he navigate around his own house in a time when there's no technology and to get up and down stairs and things like that. It was tough.
I feel like it deals a lot more with just the relationship between him and his wife, and I think it goes in interesting places, kind of unexpected in some cases. Yeah. Even though I feel like I knew a lot about Stephen Hawking, I guess I didn't know enough. Interesting little side note as well too. His voice is copyrighted. The Stephen Hawking's robotic voice that he uses is copyrighted. So he actually gave over the copyrights for the film to be able to use it. So I thought that was pretty cool. So you're saying this is worth mentioning, but worth seeing for folks if it's now that it's moved on to Netflix kind of realm, worth. Okay, perfect. Well, since you have a number one left, I will go with my number two, which I saw in theaters. Scrambling to see as many 2015 movies as I could before this episode, I went to go see Joy, along with a couple other movies. But Joy fell number two for me. I'll spoil this by saying that it did not make my top movies of 2015. 2 hours and 4 minutes. IMDb gives it a 6.7 and Rotten Tomatoes 60%. So both IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes kind of echo what I felt. It's written and directed by David O. Russell, but based on a novel by kind of what the lead character is. She's a matriarch. Story of a woman who became the founder and matriarch of a powerful business dynasty. And I don't want to give away too much about what she designed or what she did if you haven't seen it. But she's an inventor. She invents something. David O. Russell's done Three Kings, Fighter, Silver Linings Playbook, American Hustle. All movies I love.
Those are good ones. Yeah,
all good stuff. It was, I don't know, it just didn't really captivate me. I don't really have much to say about it. Jennifer Lawrence is nominated for Best Actress. The other interesting thing was Melissa Rivers plays Joan, plays her mom,
okay.
for it, and looks just like...
I don't even know if I would recognize her.
Oh, you'd recognize her because you'd be like, I think that
Joan Rivers.
Joan Rivers. So, just like interesting things, but it was kind of, I was just waiting for it to end. Jennifer Lawrence's performance was pretty good.
I feel like she's always good though.
Yeah, the movie was just trying to be unique, and it just came off as strange. Like the interplay between the characters just felt fake. Silver Linings Playbook kind of ran that fine line as well too, but I feel like it was played on in the safer area. This one crossed over, and it just felt like the interactions that these characters would have would just seem very, very fake. So, number two for me. So what's your number? Now I'm curious what this number one is, because maybe then we haven't seen it together.
We didn't, because this was my secret movie. This was like my mission this week.
What? Secret movie?
You know what's going to be really funny is I'm building this up, and I was all excited about this all week because...
Are you putting this number one because we didn't see it together?
I knew you were going to say that,
okay.
But that's not why. It was still really good. But my intention this week was like, I have to see a movie you haven't seen. And so I've built this up in my mind, like, oh, I can tell you all about this cool movie you've never seen. What am I going to do if you're like, oh yeah, I've seen that, you know? So I'm a little nervous to tell you.
All right, well, hit us with it.
Have you seen It's Kind of a Funny Story?
Have not. Don't know much about it.
All right. I think, let me tell you about it then. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I don't know much. Yeah, you'll have to educate me on this one. I don't know much about it.
Super cute movie. So I have a secret in of somebody who watches kind of a lot of these indie flicks. And so a friend of mine had said, or I guess cousin or whatever, but anyway, had said, here's a couple that you may not have seen, ones that are a little like more off the grid, people wouldn't have seen type of indie films based on other movies that we've talked about. So anyway, in this particular movie, there's a huge cast in it too. You wouldn't even believe all the people that are in it, but it's Emma Roberts. You know who she is, right?
Yeah. Julia Roberts' niece. I bet you didn't know that.
I didn't. They look nothing alike.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, anyway, so she's in there. And Zach, I'm going to mispronounce his last name, but Zach Galifianakis.
No, good pronunciation.
All right. I'm good with my Greek terms. And then it has a lot of other people that you'll know, but the main guy is, I don't even know how to pronounce his name, Keir Gilchrist? Sorry,
No,
I don't know. I had never seen him before. One more person I want to tell you that's in it, but it's Viola Davis is in it from The Help, who I absolutely love. Anyway, so it's about this. It sets it up as there's this high school boy who is struggling with kind of some just overwhelming feelings of anxiety and depression. So it starts off and he is like standing on a bridge and kind of in his subconscious is contemplating like, I'm going to just jump. And then off to the side, he sees his mom and sister and brother standing there and they're like, you can't jump. You have to sign up for your college exams. You have to do all these things. And he's like, oh, I can't, and then so anyway, he basically commits himself. So he's in this kind of mental health center for 5 days. And it's just the experience of what he's kind of what's challenging him, but also the other challenges of other people out there. And it's a really funny, but also real, but also cute story. And I laughed and I teared up and it kind of hit on all the feels. It was really good. You'd really like it.
So it's something you suggest I'd see that everybody else sees?
Yeah.
Where'd you find it?
I found it on Amazon.
Pay for it?
I did. I didn't do the freemovie.com.
It's worth paying for?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it still available? Like, can I still
I watched it like 3 days ago.
So the rental is expired. Okay.
Think about it.
I'll have to think about that. Okay.
Okay. But I really enjoyed it. It was good.
Well, good. We cruised through it, and as we should, because we've got a big segment coming up next. My neighbor, Lief Erickson, will be joining me in studio. We're kicking you out, Kara. Do you feel sad about that you're going to be replaced?
I don't feel that sad, no.
Okay. Well, you shouldn't.
Leif's a little funnier
because
than I am.
you're gonna come back afterwards. We're gonna go over our wrecs, which is my favorite segment. And so you're basically like the sandwich bread. We're gonna change up the middle.
Usually the jelly,
the middle piece.
I don't know what that.
But the bread will always be there, holding everything together.
Yeah.
And that's what you are. You're the bread. Sometimes I do an all bread sandwich too, and you're.
When do you ever do an all bread sandwich?
It's very rare.
It's a rare sandwich.
It's a very rare kind of a sandwich. But we went over a lot of movies today, so you can always go back and find out all the details about the movies we've watched at our website, alternateendingpod.com, alternateendingpod.com. When we come back after this break, Lief Erickson, my neighbor, movie watcher extraordinaire, will be on with me to talk about. Very funny guy, talking about top movies of 2015. So stay tuned.
As the curtain falls, shadows cast across this crowded room, and all I can think about is finding out how to get through to you. You don't know me.
And welcome back to Alternate Ending, where you can find us at alternateendingpod.com. Joining me in the studio for the first time, my friend and neighbor, Lief Erickson. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, first time in the studio.
Rob.
What do you think?
It's good to be here. It's comfortable.
Yeah. Any problem getting the kids to go to bed?
Well, yeah. I think thankfully Emily is over there taking care of that right now. I think if you hear some buzzing on my phone, she's letting me know that it's going.
Well, it's funny that's poorly. Even a problem. I know when we originally met. So we're a little bit of background. Leif and I are neighbors. I moved here a little bit, like 6 months ago or so. How long have you been in the neighborhood for?
3 years.
3 years
Just
ago.
over 3 years.
Okay, so we became pretty fast friends.
Oh, yeah. I think we were waiting for some people to move into the neighborhood who had kids.
Well, it worked out. We both have kids around the same age, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I remember coming over to your place for the first time. We did a little bonfire.
Yep.
And that was kind of where the chemistry of the fellow movie watchers
right.
was
Yep.
brought up. So I was pretty excited. But I remember that
Yes.
particular night was like, hey, you know what? The monitor goes a long way. So while Emily is over there watching the kids, I think, we've already done the whole, leaving the monitor.
Yeah.
Truth be told, we did leave Alice over at the house one night while still over at your house into the wee hours. But it was no problem.
Yeah, the monitor reached well. The monitor may reach, but it still didn't keep me from driving my car over here tonight because of the cold.
Oh, really? So you did drive?
I didn't walk.
Oh, you didn't? Well, it's not that cold. We're in Madison. You gotta.
I know, but I was late.
Okay. Oh, because this was a way of
Well, if I would have come
shaving off some
directly
time.
from my house to yours, I would have had to run through the snow.
Well,
so,
good.
instead of running all the way around, I'm not embarrassed to say. Yeah.
Well, good. No, I appreciate you being timely and prompt and everything like that. No, thanks for joining me. And I feel bad, we kicked Carrie out of this particular segment, but it's sad. But I think it's an added value that you're bringing to the table, and it's no knock on Carrie. It's just we just started the podcast, and I know you mentioned that you've been listening. What do you think so far of the show?
Oh, it's great. Yeah, I'm a little nervous to be the first one in here besides Carrie because I was telling you earlier. I think that's the charm of the show is what you two as a couple and the banter back and forth that you bring. I think that's really the big quality of the show. I think to hear not just about movies but about your story through the lens of movies. And
thanks, man.
And I think that brings a lot of life to it. I think that's why. That's why
good.
people
No,
are listening.
we've been really blessed with it's just been a lot of listenings, and we're surprised. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. Yeah. So no knock on Carrie. It's more of we just started. There's no way she was going to get through just the amount of movies that came out in 2015. It just wouldn't be a fair experience if we were commenting on best movies of 2015. I didn't want to put her in a position where she had to watch 100 movies. The whole impetus for me even starting the show, starting the podcast in the new year was I had to start in January to start getting ready for this episode. This was the episode that was going to make it happen. So
And you've been working hard.
I've been working really hard. I think I'm at 40 movies this year watched to date.
We're talking from January 1st.
From January 1st to now. So I'm
Just over a month.
clipping.
40
I'm
movies.
clipping.
You are.
I'm doing pretty well. I'm on target now for over 300, and I promised to the listeners that it would be 200
I
viewings.
remember that. Yeah, you're way ahead of pace here.
I'm ahead of pace, but I'm really curious. So when we were talking about movie watching, where we kind of connected on the whole movie thing, and do you know how many movies now that? Do you know how many you watch a year?
How
roughly?
many I watch? Your numbers are astronomical. I mean, I think part of it is that you're watching anything and everything, and
You're a little more selective.
Well, that's just it. I want to watch. What Emily and I don't have the same. My wife Emily, we don't have the same movie taste at all. So if we watch something, I'm like taking one for the team when I watch them with her. That's how I feel.
If you've been listening, then you know that is the exact dynamic
Yes,
that I am
heard
dealing with as well.
I've heard that, and so I've been trying to be very selective. I feel like I've got limited time, and then I also want to watch TV. Like I want to watch good TV, and I'm usually watching that as I'm falling asleep or something like that. Usually TV more than a movie because I can actually get more, an episode in before I fall asleep. So I'd say, how many do I watch each year? I mean, I'm looking at my list here of how many I want, and it is, I'm talking, it's not anywhere close to your numbers. I'm talking maybe 60 a year.
Okay. But I think I did some research. Like the average person watches about 20, 25 movies a year. Yeah. So you're well ahead. And the whole another reason I'll give you some credit for the inspiration of starting the podcast is when we went over for that bonfire night, you had brought up your list and the movie tracking that you do, and I realized, despite being a cinephile or whatever they call it, I was not documenting the movies I watched. It was a complete blur. If I had to go back through and figure out what I had watched even the year before, it was a mystery. So that inspired me to start going back even just for the 1 year and start going through and documenting it. And I thought I did a pretty good job. I had my spreadsheet all filled out, and I'm a spreadsheet guy. And then just recently, you came over. I think it was to watch. We watched Minions. You guys came over. We do movie nights here too, and we have Lief and Emily and the kids over, and we alternate. And then you brought me upstairs, kind of like, hey, come upstairs, come over here, check this out.
Right.
And you pulled out the list.
Yeah.
And it's something. It's amazing. It's something beautiful.
I pulled it up on the computer.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about this list.
Yeah, so the list actually, and maybe that's part of the problem. I don't put everything that I've watched on the list. It's not for me. It isn't for me a document of everything I've seen.
Okay.
So like the stuff, like for instance, if I'm watching like a chick flick with Emily that I don't like, it's not going to be on. It's not going to be if it's a good one, it'll be on there. But in general, the list actually started from, I want to spend some time watching a movie right now, and I don't want it to be a waste. So I want to make a list of movies that I ought to see. And so I started out kind of looking back over the last 10, 20 years at nominated films, thinking, I should at least see the nominated Best Pictures if I haven't seen them yet. And I realized, wow, there's a number that I actually haven't seen, and I thought I had. Every time I'm watching one of those award shows or something, I'm like, I got to see this. This film that I haven't heard of. And of course, that's not so much the case anymore. Then it was like not just the Best Picture nominated, but the acting awards, the writing awards, the technical stuff. And so I really started keeping track of, not only the nominated films, but the best rated of each year using, Rotten Tomatoes, Metacritic, IMDb, and kind of looking at seeing where people are, what they're liking, and using that as a starting point. It's not what I want. It's not what I'm saying is the best films.
Right.
And it's not even a list of films that I've seen. It's a list of films that I want to see. So my list is actually called "What Movies and TV to Watch."
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
No, that's good. And it's helpful for me too, because then it's also not necessarily how you feel about them either. You're not personally giving it
That's right.
a score. It's just these are things that you feel are worthy of seeing based on the algorithm or whatever it is that you've kind of put together around this.
Well, and that's just it. I just started giving point values to certain nominations and wins, point values to certain ratings, and like it's an aggregate of, and I use an algorithm to reach a place where I have a list and a score that's set up, and the score is definitely not. I've noticed that I don't resonate with the score. My best movies of the year are not the highest scores, but it's a starting point for me to where what I want to see. If a movie's got a score higher than this certain number, I'm going to watch it.
Well, I think it'll be interesting in time for you to keep doing this and then reflect back and see, what is it about the ones that you do like that make it, and then you adjust your weighting or whatever it is. Because I'll be interested when we're talking about our best movies of 2015. Just because I know you've seen a ton of movies in 2015. It'll be interesting to see how that bumps up against your list.
Yeah. I think, and this year actually, I'm interested. We'll get into it, but this year it actually does. It's more, as I look back over the last few years, it's definitely a lot more in common with the higher point values this year to my favorite movies.
Just in general, what are your thoughts overall about the movies that you thought in 2015? Like, do you feel like it was a good movie year?
Yeah, I was wondering that earlier. It almost feels like you got to get a little bit of distance to be able to compare it. In the midst of it, right in the midst of it, it's hard. It's kind of hard for me to tell. I liked the movies this year.
Yeah.
I wish that some of the it's kind of hard to find a diamond in the rough for the first 8 months of the year. You know what I mean? That's why I'm listening to your podcast. I want to find the movies that not everybody else is talking about.
I'm taking the hit for everybody watching those bad movies.
That's right.
Yeah.
But it's like you gotta wait until September, October, till you really are like, man, I could see 4, 5, 6 movies in the theater right now, and I want to see them. So there was that's a short-lived season.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was a good year. I mean, is it always true that there's so many movies about books? I mean, it just seems like
it feels like it's a book-heavy year. So in preparation for this episode, I feel like everything on my list was a book. Everything that made my honorable mention was a book or based on a book. I can think of maybe one that wasn't, but then they were all biographical. If it wasn't a book, it was a true story. It was a true story.
Yeah,
it feels
totally.
It feels like this year's the better movies. I don't know how unique that is. You're right. It would be interesting to kind of go back. Yeah. I thought generally that the movies were all pretty good, but there weren't as many great standout movies for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like my number one was a lock. We'll get to it.
Yeah,
for me,
too.
And then everything was distant seconds and thirds and fourths, and I struggled with my 3, 4, 5s. I could probably swap in my honorable mentions in there, and I would feel okay about it. But
I'm interested to hear yours.
let's see how we compare.
Because I feel actually very similar about one and then the rest.
All right, well let's dive in. Do you want to as the guest of honor? Do you want to kick things off with your? All right,
Yeah.
what's your number 5?
My number 5 is not an Academy nominated Best Picture.
Neither is mine.
And it is Straight Outta Compton.
Oh, very nice.
Have you seen it?
So I was going to tell you right before this that I was pretty excited that I had seen every movie that I probably needed to for 2015. Everything except for Straight Outta. To the finish line, just fresh right before this podcast, I finished Joy. I went to we have the little local cheap theater.
Yes.
It just was released. I thought I wouldn't get to see Joy.
After work today?
After work today, I'll cut to the chase. I was okay, probably just not seeing Joy. It wasn't a terrible movie, but anyway, Straight Outta Compton.
You're not taking any material from me there.
Nah, it's not. Yeah,
Right.
a
lot of hype.
For Joy?
Yes,
absolutely. And I'm a David O. Russell fan. Sure. Like, I love what he's done. I love what Jennifer Lawrence, Bradley Cooper, De Niro, and Silver Linings Playbook. It was actually made my top date movies.
I heard that, and I like that. That was
I wanted to like it. It's just I'm taking too much time talking about a movie I didn't like. No, go like tell us about Straight Outta Compton.
Straight Outta Compton.
I want to know about it. It's coming in Netflix soon.
Yeah, good. I didn't know that. It is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I saw this movie on my own, middle of the day, and I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know the story. I didn't know the story, and it was.
You strike me as a hardcore rap enthusiast.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I knew a little bit about
background.
each of their stories, but I didn't know the full story, and I felt like they did I thought it was an excellent portrayal, a great ensemble cast. I thought they did an excellent job of kind of bringing you back to that place, even if you've never been there.
Okay.
And I felt like I guess. Part of me putting it at 5 had a lot to do with the fact that I haven't heard a thing about it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been a while since it came out, but I haven't heard a thing about it. And I was like, that's a little odd because I felt like it was great acting, great storytelling, and an important story at that. I felt like this shaped the history of American music. I mean, it really, or the future of American music, at least in the, in the rap and hip hop scene moving forward. And I felt like that's an important story to tell. And, I enjoyed getting that background, even though I had little bits and pieces of it.
Yeah. I don't know much about the kind of the history of rap, and I think I'm pretty excited, especially, the West Coast, I guess.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Do I sound strange saying that? I know a little bit about it. One thing that surprised me was that it wasn't nominated. I know a lot of people were surprised that it wasn't nominated. So for you to put it at 5,
it definitely
it makes me feel like it maybe was a missed opportunity for the Oscars to recognize it for what it was, because I think it surprised me with the box office numbers that it put up.
Right.
I heard it was a great ensemble cast. Is it true that it's Ice Cube's son is actually portraying?
I don't know. I did not realize.
I think it is. Yeah, I remember reading that people were like, "Oh, he looks just like." It's amazing that they got someone who looked just like him, and then it was Jackson, O'Shea Jackson.
Yeah,
Jr.
O'Shea Jackson is Ice
Jr.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's his son. Yeah,
there you go. Yep, that's Ice Cube. I'm seeing that now.
Yeah, and I guess I didn't have an appreciation for him as an artist, maybe as much as I should have. From what I've read too, is that
of Ice Cube.
Yeah, that he was this amazing writer, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's right. No, absolutely, and that's a big part of the story.
Okay, I'm excited.
That's a big part of the story. And I don't want to give anything away, but yeah, I think it shows kind of the passion and the drive, and not just the story of that group, but the story of African American history at that time, being a black man at that time in this country, and what it looked like to kind of rise to stardom, and the way that they were mistreated, and the things they missed out on, that others with that kind of talent didn't,
I feel like, is it weird that it's taken so long? like maybe
tell
I'm
the story?
to tell this kind of story, because I even know spoofs of movies like CB4 or whatever. I don't know if you know that, when Chris Rock basically doing a spoof of what this movie is, but back in the 90s or maybe early 2000s. Yeah, it's weird that I feel like it's taken so long to tell a story like this. Maybe there'll be
a spoof of NWA.
I think it was. Yeah, he does. Okay. It's basically a whole movie dedicated about like an up and coming band, a rap group like this. But you should check. I mean, is it worth checking out? I don't know. There's so many other movies to watch. But no, I think it's a good pick. It's a pick I'm looking forward to. I think it comes out on Netflix February 17th. You recommend everybody else seeing it?
Absolutely, I recommend it.
Okay. Yep. Well, my number 5, also not on the Oscars. I feel like I had mentioned this before we started the show, is I had my honorable mentions. Each of them could have been probably swapped out too. So the thing that set this one over the top that made me want to include it is because it wasn't getting any love, and maybe people hadn't heard about it. It's Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl.
Yes.
Gets a 7.8 on IMDb and an 83% Rotten Tomatoes. I really liked this movie a lot.
Yeah, me too.
I've heard it's like, I don't want to knock Fault in Our Stars, but it's like a great version of Fault in Our Stars.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because it deals with high school, and I'm probably still living pretending as though I'm 18 years old. Like, high school was a big moment in my life, and it deals with kind of like two friends who are filmmakers, kind of from different sides of the tracks.
Yep.
A girl, neighbor who's stricken with cancer, and then he's kind of forced to go over there and befriend her, and kind of dealing with that whole dynamic. It was I really enjoyed it. It got me fast. It got me just wanting to be an aspiring filmmaker around that same time in high school. Yeah. Like, it really resonated. I related very much to the characters, and kind of an overbearing mom makes you do what you want, makes you do certain things. And then it was just visually really interesting. The director, I want to give him some credit here, Alfonso Gomez-Reyon. I would recommend people start following him. He hasn't done much. He did mostly TV before this, but he has a very nice visual style. His choices with certain scenes, I still think back to them, and it's very innovative in his shooting style.
Yeah.
We talked about based on a book. This is based on a book by Jesse Andrews, very popular book.
Same name?
Same. I believe it's the same name. But yeah, it's really worth watching. It at the time. Last year when it was purchased at Sundance, you go to Sundance as an independent movie hoping to get picked up by a big shop. It held the record until this year, which broke the record, but it got picked up for $12 million last year. So people who know bought it. They bought into it. I bought into it too. So that's my number.
And then it was in theaters. Yeah, I did. I think was it in theaters like June, like early summer.
It came out. It came out early. Not a whole. I don't remember much trailers or anything about it.
I think I saw it after it was released, on DVD or
Blu-ray, I picked it up on Netflix. It was one that caught my attention. Just I scanned the trailers every once in a while.
It definitely had that kind of adolescent indie film flair of like Juno, kind of raw. And I'm a youth pastor. I work with high school students, so that's my profession. So I thought what I loved about it was like, this is real adolescence. This is what it's like. And not just from my own experience working with them, but from my own experience as a teenager.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, this is the stuff that's most important. And here you're throwing in not just all this other stuff that's going on that's, major life changes and all this, but now you've got death in the midst of it. And what does that look like at this age?
And done tastefully. And, I mentioned that Carrie made me watch, some of these, I Am Sam. Nothing against I Am Sam, but like, those movies are built to force an emotion versus this one. It just kind of, I felt I was very emotionally involved. Felt very more natural way how it got me to that moment. I really liked it a lot. No, I'm glad you liked it too. See, it's nice connecting with someone with similar tastes.
Well, what I love about a movie like that is it's unpredictable.
Yeah.
You don't exactly know what's going to happen. Yep. So much of Hollywood, it's like, the trajectory of this story. And even some of the good movies, some of my favorite movies still follow that, that predictable storyline and arc and all that. And this is just like, like others like it, you don't know what's going to
I
happen
worry
next.
that I'll like high school movies my entire life just because that's when I fell in love with movies was in high school and movies about high school. So I feel like I'll be that weird guy in the theater, in my 60s or 70s, like still going to like the equivalent of a Can't Hardly Wait or this movie in theaters just for that to get a glimpse of my high school experience again.
And I think there's nothing. I mean, obviously I'm biased. I work with high school students. It's part of my career. That being said, I think that's a significant time in life.
Yeah.
And that doesn't change if you're in high school or if you're 60 or you're 80. You remember that time.
Well, thanks for not making me feel creepy. I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm the king of creep. I mean, come on. I gotta reconcile that with my job.
Well, good. What's all right? Let's move on. Number 4. What's on your doc for number 4?
Now I'm gonna feel a little bit like Carrie here because I wish I could just come out real strong and tell you exactly, and I'm kind of wavering right now.
No, go against the grain.
Decision.
Go against the grain.
Well, maybe. I mean, okay. For one thing, confession, I have 5 movies above Straight Outta Compton, but there's a tie.
Sure,
there's a tie.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm trying to decide where that tie is. So I'm gonna. I think I know. I got one movie for number 4, and that's Brooklyn.
Okay. I feel bad. I didn't have Brooklyn on my list. It's on my list.
Yeah, I went to that movie. This is kind of a funny story. I went into the theater. Emily and I were able to get out. It was like one of the only times that we got just out to the movie, the two of us, to the theater together. We were at our parents, and they had the kids. And I said, let's go see. I either want to see Brooklyn, which I haven't seen, or Spotlight, which I saw just this last week. And I'll save my thoughts on that. But so she wanted to see Spotlight, and even though I was clearly trying to direct her towards the movie I hadn't seen because I needed to get it, it was on my list. I
could see you being very accommodating. I mean, we could see
my
whatever. I mean, I've seen Spotlight, but I mean, whatever.
That's exactly what I did, and I expected her to follow my lead there. I was trying to be accommodating, but I didn't really mean it. And so I went in there, and I was accommodating. I sat down with her, and not 5 minutes in. It had been just a week since I saw this movie. I'm like, Brooklyn's starting in like 5 minutes. Do you mind if I?
So I left. You pieced out.
I left her in the theater. There's one other guy in there, which is I kept thinking, I hope that guy is, like just watching the movie, and I just there to watch the movie because I went to Brooklyn. This this love story all by myself sitting in there with a bunch of couples.
So if it makes you feel better, I saw Brooklyn by myself.
Okay,
probably in the same theater. We might have even been in the same seat.
I was in Colorado.
Oh, you were in Colorado.
So
okay,
you were out there too.
Maybe at the same time we were watching.
Exactly.
Keep going.
No,
I feel
what
bad.
I loved about Brooklyn was I felt like, one thing I really enjoy is period pieces. Where you can experience what it must have been like. And I felt like the thing that Brooklyn nailed was what it must have felt like to be moving, be an immigrant to this country, coming from, it was an Irish girl played by, what's her name? Saoirse.
Yeah. The last name? Good. Yeah, Ronan. Ronan.
Yeah, Ronan.
Yeah.
And I kind of forgotten about her because she has some minor roles, and she had been a younger actress the last time I'd seen her. And what an incredible performance by her, number one. I was just drawn to her character.
Yeah.
And just kind of empathizing with what she must be going through, leaving everything she knew in Ireland and just barely getting connected here, only to go back. And I won't share, any of the plot at this point, but to go back and at the same time that she's been dying to go back home, she couldn't wait. She just was not resonating with America. But the minute that she kind of, I feel like I've been there before. The minute you're ready to stay, you have to go.
Yeah.
And how love played into that, both at home and here in the U.S. and just I think it's set in the early 1900s.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? And,
1950s. Which I'll go.
It was 1950s?
Yeah, early 1950s.
Oh yeah, I know why. I was confused about that. Yeah, it's the same time frame as another movie that came out this year.
Yes, that's where I was going to go.
I'm sorry.
No, please cut in because this is what I wanted to say was I left that movie really liking it.
Yeah.
And then after I started watching more and more movies from 2015, I realized I kept thinking about it more and more.
Yes.
I think I love it, and it's on my honorable mentions.
Yeah. Okay.
And the movie I'm thinking about that same time period is Carol.
Yep. Yeah.
Did you see Carol?
Yep, I did. Yeah.
Brooklyn is far. I liked it much more than Carol.
Yeah, I liked Brooklyn better too. And a lot of that had to do with the way they presented the time. Yeah, obviously I was 50 years off on my estimate there,
right.
but yeah, that totally. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. What you're saying about Carol, I did like Carol for other reasons, but I felt like that Brooklyn got this right, and I felt like the love story probably even also as it relates to the love story in Carol, I just felt so drawn in. And
I was there.
Man, I wish Emily had chosen to watch this movie with me, because this would have been like a...
So has she not seen it?
She hasn't seen it yet.
Oh, I think
we'll watch it.
I'm excited for Carrie to see it as well, because I think it's one of the... So a list that I have, I don't want to say where this will end up, an idea for a top 5 at some point is top 5 movies about immigrants, which when I was thinking about movies like that, there were quite a few that popped in my head. So this one has inspired a future list. It was really well done. I applaud you for your selection, and I feel guilty for not having it on there. But like I said, I feel like it could have just as easily made my list.
Yeah. All right.
Next up for me, I'm curious if it's on yours. Just saw it 2 days ago. Again, scrambling to get all of the Oscar noms in time. Room.
Okay.
On your list?
Yes, it's on my list.
So I have it on number 3. Where do you have it?
That was one. I mean, I actually had Room and Brooklyn tied, and
there you go.
And I moved Brooklyn up, or I moved Room up because I decided I liked Brooklyn. I decided I liked Room a hair more, and so I put Room and number 3 together.
And I feel bad about Room because I feel like I can't even say anything about it because I don't want to spoil any.
Yeah.
I want people to go into this movie not knowing anything. I really do, and it's written by Emma Donoghue, which I think it's based on a book. So people might have read the book. Directed by Lenny Abramson. Have you seen the movie Frank last year? It's been on Netflix.
No.
It's Frank. A bit. Yeah, Frank.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. With the head.
Guy with the giant head.
Yeah, sorry,
rock band.
Yeah, I've seen part of it.
That movie I didn't get it as much. I appreciated the visuals, and I thought it was indie. That indie feel like you had talked about Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. I got that same sense with Frank. But Room. So let me tell you a little quick side story about Room. I go to the theater. I'm sitting down. My assigned seat at Marcus, because they do the theater style assigned seating there. I sit right next to a 10-year-old girl with her mom.
No kidding.
Yeah. And I'm a little nervous because I kind of know what Room is about.
Right. I'm nervous for her.
I'm like, I kind of want to, I don't know what my place is. Like,
right. You want to tell mom.
Do I, like, maybe she doesn't know what this is about or that this is, I mean, it's an R, right? I think it's R-rated. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And I'm like, the trailers are going and the trailers are R-rated trailers. You know, they're not red band trailers, but they're R-rated trailers.
Yep.
And then I think the mom realizes after the trailers, we're in the wrong movie. We're supposed to be a Kung Fu Panda.
Oh, no way.
And I'm so glad that happened because I was starting to feel very uncomfortable. I'm right next to this girl. Like, her popcorn is right next to mine. And
man.
I just, like, I don't know what my... So anyway, I can't say... It's
a very cultured 10-year-old.
Yes. Yeah. I was like, wow, maybe she's ready for this. I wasn't.
Exactly.
I cried. I did
exactly.
There were many tears. Probably being a parent has a lot to do with it and kind of thinking about yourself in a similar situation. I can't imagine, but tough movie to watch. I can't even read the synopsis because it gives too much away. But 4 Oscar nominations: Best Picture, Best Actress for Brie Larson, who's in it; Best Director, again Lenny Abramson, who did Frank in 2014. It's an okay movie if you're into indie arty movies. I think it's worth checking out. Best Adapted Screenplay. Interesting fact about Room was Brie Larson did not wash her face during the entire filming, and it was funny because she's a very young, attractive leading lady. She's very selective with her movies. Very cerebral person from what I understand.
She's kind of up and coming.
Yeah, she is. I think she's really good, and she's very picky about the movies that she does. I have it on my must-watch list, which is Short Term 12, which she's in as well.
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen it, but
I
could tell, that she had not washed her face because I was like, man, what happened to Brie Larson? Like,
right. She doesn't look anything like.
She didn't look great.
Yeah. So you'd seen her before. See, I felt like that was the first time I'd seen her.
Yeah, I'd seen her before.
And so now I've seen her and I'm like, that's not the one from the movie.
Yeah, she's a pretty stunning. I mean, most leading ladies are have a little bit of that quality about them. But so I mentioned what was it? Fault in Our Stars. So Shailene Woodley was actually in the running
for this
role, and
no
I could.
Kidding. I don't see
Could
it.
you see that?
No.
Yeah.
No, I felt like the one word I had for this movie was raw.
Yes.
Like I felt like it was really raw to the point of this is painful to watch.
Yes.
And not in the way like, I mean, this is like Emily hear that and she doesn't want to watch it now. It's
right.
too real. But I felt like, wow, this is what it must be like to be in their situation.
Don't you feel like it was tastefully done in the
yeah.
sense where like I felt everything that I would have felt even if I was seeing everything and I saw nothing?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, it's all off camera. Everything's off camera. It's
and
noises.
I'm just doing my best to follow your lead and not give too much away, but you know, there's humor.
Yeah.
There's hope.
There's heart for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. There's love, deep love, and then there's also, I mean, it's almost like, you know, at the times you would think there would be the least amount of hope and humor, there's more, and the times you'd think there'd be the most amount, that's where the rubber meets the road. So it's almost like there's two kind of movements in the movie, I would say, or two kind of parts, and it's very interesting to see. You know, I mean, I thought, man, how could they make a movie? It's called Room,
right?
So I'm thinking, okay, let's just not give anything else away and just say it's called Room. I saw a preview. They're in a room. You know, this is going to get really old.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it didn't get old at all.
No.
And it's almost like when they were in the room, that's almost where there was more.
And I feel like that's all. It's the acting and it's the direction, and you have to appreciate. Again, that's why for the other movies on here, they're much bigger in scope, much bigger in budget.
Yeah.
But to make me feel the roller coaster of emotions that I felt within that contained environment, it shows a lot to the talent of the writer, the director, and the actors.
Absolutely.
And so that's why it makes my list of number 3. So
yeah, her co-star was the young Jacob Tremblay, I believe.
Yes, that's right.
And did an excellent job for a child actor.
Yes.
And Brie Larson, I believe, has already won Best Actress at the Globes and Best Actress at the Screen Actors Guild, and she's a
Do you think
favorite.
she's a lock?
She's a favorite,
Yeah.
I think.
It's Kate, right? Her and Kate? Or who's in the running?
Kate's co-star
Okay.
is in the running. Actually, Jennifer Lawrence does get a nomination for Best Actress. Actually, Kate Blanchett's co-star in Carol actually is a Best Supporting.
Okay, Rooney?
nomination. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And then Rampling from 45 Years, which I haven't seen. And Saoirse.
Ah, Saoirse.
So
I'm pulling for Brie.
I think between the two of them, I probably am too. But when I saw Brooklyn, I'm thinking, oh, that is.
I feel like Saoirse was born to play that role. Though.
That's a good point.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's written for her.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't know. Like, I don't know how much acting she's doing. I mean, she's clearly acting. Yeah. She's an amazing actress. I loved Saoirse Ronan, again, back from Brooklyn, the movie Brooklyn. Her in that role she was phenomenal. I've loved her since Atonement. She did where she was a hit person. There was a movie where she was like
she might have gotten an award or at least nomination.
She got. I think she did really well in Atonement. Seen her in some other stuff, but that's good. Since you're out, you're number 3 now.
I'm down to 3, and this is where I have the tie.
So you're down to 2 now, or how many do you have left?
Oh, did I already say? Oh, I already told you that. Yeah, I told you that. Room was tied, and for me, Room was tied with Spotlight.
Okay, so I also have Spotlight.
You have Spotlight.
I have Spotlight as my number 2.
As your number 2.
Spotlight's
Okay.
my number 2.
Yeah.
So we both have our number 1s remaining after this. Is that right?
I still have 2.
Oh, you still have 2. Okay.
Well, because
you had the tie.
I
cheated. No, that's all right. So you go. Yeah, you go Spotlight.
Yeah, that is a cheat. I see how that's a cheat, but I definitely wasn't going to leave. I wasn't going to be the Academy Awards or everybody else and leave out Straight Outta Compton.
Okay, no, that's fair.
So for the 2 for me, and so yeah, I mean, I felt the 2 had similar appeal for me. It's a Spotlight. For me, it's just it's a sobering watch of reality. You know, it's kind of one of those things you kind of wish you didn't have to watch because you don't want it to be true. And the same as what I felt with Room. And at the same time, it's important that you do watch it. It's important that you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's important that you know because so much of the story of Spotlight people don't know. And still, even when it's told, even when it's reported as well as it was by the Spotlight team at the Boston Globe, still don't know.
Yeah.
And almost ignore. As a culture, we ignore it. And I feel like that is almost the case with the film in some respects.
Yeah.
I feel like it's almost like, oh, we don't want this to be true, so we're almost, some people aren't even going to, give the film the props it deserves because of that.
I don't even know what it is because I feel the same way. I feel like even though I know stuff has happened before, I felt like it took Spotlight to make me more aware of it.
Yeah,
but even
right.
so, like I feel like I still don't really.
Yeah, you can share a little bit about for those.
Yeah, no, it was so it's a true story of how the Boston Globe uncovered the massive scandal of child molestation and cover up within the local Catholic archdiocese. And it's not that that's a surprise. I mean, that's kind of, going into it, and they even know it going into like researching it.
Exactly.
But they think it's, and Carrie and I talked about this at I think even our first episode, it was one of her worth mentionings. But it's one of those where you kind of knew it was happening, but you didn't know to what level it was happening, and it kind of really highlights that. And it's different in Room to me, where Room it was ebb and flow, and Spotlight was, I feel like, just kind of this little bit like this tension
building,
kind of all the way through, all the way through this tension that I felt, but not a lot of ups and downs. I didn't feel like.
Sure.
Relaxed at any point. I didn't, in Room there were moments where I felt like tense and then relax and tense and then relax, and it just constantly going through the emotions. And no, Spotlight's a great movie.
Also, Brie Larson champions that movie, Room, and so I had these tied. I felt like Spotlight, one of them. I mean, just moving away from the story aspect of it, what an incredible cast. Oh. I mean, they work together so well.
They did.
And those are all people we know well,
Yes.
especially recently.
Yeah.
There've been a lot of people who have been, having their return,
Yeah.
like Keaton having his return, and so I feel like other people that we've seen a lot of, both in movies and TV, and what a great story. Actually, one of my favorite characters in that is one that is kind of overlooked. And that's Lief Schreiber's character as the editor coming, because he comes in and you think he's going to be. Am I giving anything away if I say?
No,
say it?
no.
You think he's gonna? You think they're setting him up to be the bad guy,
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I loved that because you're kind of like, this guy's he's not gonna want to tell the story, and everybody else
opposite,
looks like they're gonna be the ones that want to tell the story, and he's got to convince everybody that the story needs to be told.
I told Carrie too. Lief Schreiber is everything he's in. I'll watch a movie just because he's in it, and he's got that kind of appeal for me. Mark Ruffalo is in it, Rachel McAdams. So if you haven't seen Spotlight by now, definitely go. It's worth seeing.
Yeah, but McAdams and Ruffalo and Keaton are the ones that get all the and they should.
He's the unsung. Lief is the unsung hero. Another unsung hero in it. There's the voice that you never actually see. So I mentioned this before too in an earlier episode. Was Tom McCarthy was the director. Okay. He's directed some decent movies before this. Station Agent, which I haven't seen. The Visitor, starring Richard Jenkins. And unfortunately, most recently, before this, The Cobbler, which is playing on Netflix, which I still can't.
I saw your Facebook post.
I can't wrap my mind around it. But funny story. So unsung hero have you seen The Visitor about immigrants?
Sure, it's not Tom McCarthy.
I still think that could be the case, but I have yet to be.
I haven't seen The Visitor.
The Visitor is a really cool movie about immigrants, and it stars Richard Jenkins, who actually does a little voice cameo, uncredited for it, as one of the scientist priest, if you know what I'm talking about, who's got all the statistics and the psychiatry kind of statistics on it. So
So that's
I
Richard. Remember when they get him on the phone.
They get him on the phone.
Yeah,
so little voice cameo.
It's a key, and it's definitely a key. Key part of the.
So he brought him back from an earlier movie. So I thought that was pretty neat. So yeah, nominated for six Oscars. So definitely worth checking out. So what's your number two then?
All right,
clear cut number two.
Okay, it is a clear cut number two, but it's a long way from number one. So keep that in mind. And I'm a little.
I'm
and this
excited.
is like no. You don't be too excited. I feel embarrassed.
Okay.
I feel embarrassed about my number two, but
right.
I'm gonna make an argument for it.
Okay.
I think it actually deserves to be at number two.
Do you know who usually sits across from me there? So there's few things that'll embarrass me at this point.
I'm doing my best. And listen, it's almost, partially it's embarrassed because I think it's predictable.
Okay.
I think I have a predictable number two. And so you want to guess? Want to guess what you think it might be?
Predictable number.
It's a long way from number one, so.
This will be tough then. Predictable number two, I will say The Martian.
The Martian. is my number 2.
It's also my number 2.
It is? Okay, well then I feel less bad. And I feel a little bit bad for saying all that before.
People are going to think that we're in cahoots here or something. Like this is all like legit overlaps here.
Yeah, I wonder what that says. Maybe it says something about the field that we had to work with here this year. I guess the reason why I'm saying it is because I'm not a guy usually to say, oh yeah, like Independence Day was my favorite, or I mean these, I can't say Blockbuster.
Yeah.
It's really popular, and it's got all of the aspects of all the great, those movies. It's got all the aspects of, like the trajectory, and that's what I was talking about earlier. But I just loved it, and I watched it 3 times.
You've seen it 3 times?
Yeah, I've seen it 3 times.
I couldn't help but like it too, and I for the same reasons I felt insecure about sharing this in putting it as high as number 2.
Yeah.
Because I felt like all of the the really snobby critic types would be like, oh, it's a popcorn movie, like big blockbuster, and I kind of feel that way about blockbusters sometimes, but this is one that I feel like just got it right. Like, I thought it was funny. I cared about Matt Damon's plight.
Yep.
He was hilarious, in his situations.
Yep. Oh, great. I mean, they made such a huge deal about it being a comedy, and then you watch it, and you're like, actually,
it is.
I can see that. Remember, because they got the best comedy / musical Golden Globe, and I think that's just become like, how do we have the not dramas win? You know what I mean?
Right.
But still, I mean, actually, there is some pretty good comedy in there. Like,
I thought it was very humorous. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the best botanist on the planet.
On this planet. And visually, I mean, it's directed by Ridley Scott, who's brought us Blade Runner, Alien. I mean, I could go on, Gladiator. I'm excited to see him be nominated and recognized for this movie. Visually, it was beautiful. Like, I felt like I was on, I don't know what Mars would be like, but
he wasn't nominated, was he? He wasn't.
Is he not nominated for Best Director?
The Academy. Nope, he wasn't. He was nominated at the Globes, but not at the Academy. And I couldn't believe it, because I feel like, come on.
Because a lot of times they do this as an opportunity to just like make up for, like, Scorsese won for something for I think Shutter Island or when he should have won for Departed, like a long time earlier ago, and it's almost like a way to make up for that. And he wasn't, huh? Oh, I haven't been keeping track of my nominations.
Well,
then.
no,
okay.
I think part of I actually had to just check that again, because when you said it,
it feels weird.
He should have been. And then I look back, I'm looking at my my cheat sheet here, my aggregate. I have little symbols. And unless my symbols are wrong, the only Academy nomination for The Martian besides Best Picture was Matt Damon. That is, there's probably a technical one in there.
Sure.
But in terms of acting and directing.
You know what? I have it written down too. No, I don't have Best Director on my of the 7. It's visual effects, sound editing, production design.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, so it's got a lot of other nominations that are technical, and they deserve it.
Yeah. No. Absolutely.
What
they
a
deserve to at least be nominated.
Beautiful picture, the cinematography. Like, I mean, just you believe you're on Mars.
Yeah. It's got a great cast. I mean, it's hard to. We're talking about the A and the A plus cast. Like, Spotlight has, really solid. I mean,
sure.
The Martian has some great. Jeff Daniels makes a. I mean, you forget that these are great actors playing smaller roles.
That's right.
Chiwetel. I'm okay.
Chastain.
Yeah, Jessica Chastain. Chiwetel Ejiofor. I'm messing up his name, but I love everything he's in.
Oh, is he the guy?
12 Years a Slave kind of guy, and
he's the guy that.
And he has.
I guess I shouldn't.
He has a hard time
not giving.
Well, there's like Mission Control.
Hilarious.
Like there's so many good. There's so many good moments in there. No, good solid. Well, now I'm nervous about our number ones a little bit.
Well, I don't know. I mean, for me, I can't go away from it. So, but I mean, I couldn't have chosen anything else from the minute.
Do you think we'll line up on our number ones too?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised because if we don't. I would love to argue about how you don't have yours.
So it's interesting because I've left something off that I thought that most people have on their top 5.
Okay, well,
and
maybe it is.
Well, but now I'm nervous. Okay, you go.
All right, I'll go. Okay, yeah, I was almost going to say something else about The Martian.
Okay. No, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
No.
But now I'm almost forgetting what it was. So I think just to wrap up what my thoughts on The Martian were. And now, obviously now I've lost it. So let's just go with,
it's gone.
Just go with
into the ether.
Yes,
all right. Number ones.
So
go for it,
please. Number 1 of the year, and actually number 1 in the last few years for me was an obvious choice for me, The Revenant.
Ah, yes, my number 1 as well.
I thought it would. I'd be surprised if you hadn't put that in your top 5.
Yes, it was in my top 5 and top 1 for sure. And I don't know where it'll end up in my all time at some point.
Yeah,
because
I mean, that's just the thing. You got to get some distance on it before that. But it's better than the last best pictures of the last 2 years for me. You know, at least last year I wanted Boyhood to beat Birdman. I loved Boyhood, but this Revenant blows Boyhood out of the water in terms of just like I left the theater kind of shaking.
Yeah. Carrie and I talked about this, I think maybe it was last episode. Yeah, last episode or maybe even 2 episodes ago. I don't remember. But, her complaint was the story was predictable. The story is what it is. Like, I think it's a good story and great story. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, I've just
never seen anything like it.
And isn't that ironic? I think that is a lot. Obviously, he's going to get Best Director, almost a lock, I think, in Naruto.
Yeah.
For a second time in a year. How many times has that been done, I wonder? I was going to ask.
I don't think I got to believe it's never happened.
Yeah, and I think it's almost certain. And I totally wanted Boyhood's
link letter
to get director last year just because of I felt like if not Best Picture, at least that but you watch Birdman, and that's one of the things I appreciated most was the directing. So you can just see, nothing's been done like that. You were telling me about, like the way they made it look like it was one take. The Revenant is just like you said. Did I ever send you that little documentary?
Oh no, but I've heard about there's a YouTube or something.
There's a little documentary about it.
I haven't watched it.
You really ought to, check it out. Look out for it. I can't remember what the name of it is, but it's a very well done documentary on the filming of The Revenant. I just watched it like last week, and it kind of explains it. You're like, oh my gosh, I don't think anybody has really done this in terms of going out into the wilderness. They're risking a lot out there. Yeah. This is not normal plush acting.
No.
You know what I mean?
And as a result, and you probably saw this in the documentary, I don't know if they mentioned in the documentary, but a lot of the crew dropped out. They were like, forget this. I'm not sitting in 0 degree water and
they almost and I think they almost lost some actors too.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
So, that's a credit to the director. That's a credit to the actors and those who are part of that, because it reaps the rewards of their hard work. And it's you feel that.
Yeah.
You feel like you're living out there.
Well, one thing left out, and I'm surprised. Not surprised. It makes me feel good. I feel like I lost my cool card by not having it in my top 5 was Mad Max Fury Road. It's in my honorable mentions. So but I felt weird not having, because I feel like I'm not cool by not having it. Because I think it is also similar, where visually I haven't seen anything like it, but it's just too out there for me story wise.
It was for me too, okay. And I actually went back and watched the original just as a precursor because I hadn't seen it. I think it's out on Netflix, and it actually follows. I'm sure that if I was around and watching movies back when that original came out, maybe I'd feel differently, and some of the listeners might feel that. But I feel like it's almost like you needed that context, the love of that first one, to actually really enjoy the second one. And maybe that's not true. I definitely enjoyed parts of it, but yeah, it drug on. And for me, the first one drug on. I don't think I made it to I barely made it to the end of the first one.
Yeah,
I did make it through this. I think I saw it on an airplane, Fury Road.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So not the best watching experience, but
so that's part of it.
Even so, like I appreciate everything the director did for that movie. But it's just the content. Just I need a little bit of both. Like, it can't just be visuals only. Like, I got to buy into the story. And what were some of the other honorable mentions for you?
Yeah. So and that wouldn't have made my honorable mention. I was hoping that wouldn't. I was hoping that we'd see some other ones on the list besides Fury Road. I did like The Big Short. I enjoyed it.
It's on mine.
I thought that is the definition of an ensemble cast, and they, sometimes it's like, oh, you just throw everybody in, and it's like it kind of takes something away. Not this one.
I've been seeing the trailers again because they still play them. They really make you believe like the cast interacts.
That's true. Yeah,
the trailer makes you feel
they don't even know each other.
They don't know each other, and I feel like that was a little bit of a letdown for me. It's in my honorable mentions.
I was waiting for them.
Just one spoiler,
but I was waiting for everything to come together.
Right, and it never came together, and that's okay.
But it did come together in a different sense. Yeah. They all landed in the same place.
Kudos to the director, who's never done anything dramatic like this. Right. Adam McKay, I think known mostly for like Old School or whatever. whatever it is, like done mostly comedies.
Yep.
To do something like this. So I mean, is he up for best director? Or maybe. Yeah, I don't.
Yes, he is.
That's-
He's on the list.
To
Yeah, that's right. And I just saw him on a TV show the other night.
So yeah, good for him.
Yeah.
Like getting some love.
Yeah, I felt like Steve Carell is kind of like a few years ahead of him in that.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's got like 4 or 5 now, really great dramatic work that I'm aware of. And I feel like he's kind of cemented himself in, almost like Jim Carrey did at one point.
Yeah.
To like, okay, he is a well-respected actor.
Yeah.
You know, and this was almost even more so, because it was a little bit more, you could see a little bit more of himself and even a little Michael Scott in his character. You know what I mean? And you kind of, if you're an Office fan, you know, you kind of miss Michael Scott. Yeah. And especially when you watch, you know, Steve Carell and anything else, you're like, oh, where's Michael Scott? And there's glimpses of him coming out in his character here. So I like that. So honorable mention, yeah, that was on there. I'm not one that likes to put animated films in my top. But I wish I would have seen, actually, instead of Fury Road, I wish I would have seen Inside Out in the Best Pictures this year. I felt like of all Pixar films, and Pixar I feel like does make the best animated features, this is definitely one of my very favorite Pixar films.
I think I need to rewatch it.
You didn't like it?
No, we were busy.
Yeah.
First time I saw we watched it together, and it was kids and pizza, and I need to sit and just.
You do, because this is not your normal kids movie.
Yeah,
and that's
I got to give it another chance.
My kids loved it, but for totally different reasons than I did. I felt like this was a trip into the human brain in a very creative way, and I feel like that's the way the story of the brain needs to be told.
Yeah,
because there's no, you know what I mean? Like there's no mechanical way about it.
I don't have Inside Out on mine. A couple on mine are Beasts of No Nation. I really liked.
I haven't seen it.
If you haven't seen Z for Zachariah, it made my honorable mention.
Okay, I'm putting it. Actually, it's not even on my list.
Okay, Z for Zachariah, a very independent movie. It just went straight to Amazon Video. Okay. It actually stars Chiwetel Ejiofor as well. Like it's post-apocalyptic kind of a thing, and kind of dealing with being the last person or people on Earth kind of deal.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Really cool independent movie. Ex Machina. I don't know if it qualifies for 2015. I get confused with IMDb. Sometimes they list it as a 2015 movie, but I'm not really sure how that works out. Jurassic World, I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Sicario, I really enjoyed. I just saw Bridge of Spies this week. I thought that was okay.
That's on my honorable mention.
Okay, good. Yeah.
So, Jurassic World, not. I just felt like what I was going to say about Martian is Jurassic World is, for me, that's your classic summer blockbuster.
Yeah.
And it's enjoyable to watch. But The Martian took that to the whole nother level, and that's why it made my top 5. And then just to wrap up here, I just wanted to mention, Leonardo DiCaprio has been nominated some. He's gotten some recognition, but a lot of snubs, I feel like, and some of that I can actually understand. I can see why. He's not going to be missed this year. I think he's a lock for the best actor this year.
I think if anything, this should be almost like for all those times where he didn't get it. Yep. This should be
this is makeup.
This is makeup. Even if he doesn't deserve it, like I'm trying to think of
who would deserve it.
Yeah,
who do you like?
No one else really compares. I haven't seen Eddie. I don't know if Eddie Redmayne is.
Yeah, I did see it, and that's an incredible job. He won't win 2 in a row
for Danish Girl. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to win 2. I think it takes a lot to win 2 in a row, and it's almost like for our sports fans out there, it's almost like the year that Brett Favre could have won that 4th or 5th MVP, but Tom Brady and Peyton Manning were having the best season of their lives,
right.
And so it's kind of like Eddie, in any other year Eddie Redmayne might have won that second one in a row. I thought his acting and the female his co-star that plays his wife,
who's actually from Ex Machina, Alexandra Vikander. I don't remember her. I think that's her name.
Really impressed by her acting. But yeah, so maybe he wins it. I also, on my honorable mention, was also Trumbo.
Okay,
and
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely worth a watch.
Okay,
but it's like one of these stories where you're like, that's a story that needs to be told, and I feel like that's been the case. You got Trumbo, even Concussion, which for me was a letdown. It totally makes sense that it wasn't in the Best Picture. I was so prepped, like I was for Joy, for that to be a great movie, and it dragged on so long. But it's a story.
Yeah,
I thought Will Smith did an excellent job. It's more just the way they told the story. It's like is this still going? You know, I mean, they could have told the
Well,
story
good.
much shorter.
I won't rush out to,
No, I
to
wouldn't
go see it.
But I feel like that story, even the Joy story, you know, the Bridge of Spies story, the Spotlight story, the Revenant story, which is, you know, based on a true story.
Yeah.
I'm probably missing a couple here, but Trumbo, you know, kind of fit right into there as another story that just needed to be told.
We had a listener write in for their top 5 movies of 2015. A friend of the show helped us with a lot of the kind of podcast consulting. Mike Garrigan, MikeGarrigan.com, wrote in with Inside Out. So he had that there. Star Wars: The Force Awakens, which clearly we must not be huge Star Wars fans.
I love the movie,
I
but
did
it's
too.
just one of
Yeah,
those that
just-
doesn't make my.
It doesn't make mine either. He had Bridge of Spies, Cinderella, which I thought was an interesting pick, which I saw that with Abby this year. It was a good movie. And then he actually had Mad Max Fury Road, which added to my insecurity of not having Mad Max at all. But,
understandable.
did you have fun on the
absolutely.
first episode? Can we will we have you back at some point?
Well, will you have me back is a question that you'll have to answer.
Okay, well,
yeah,
no.
I would love to be, but yeah, I mean, I just like the students who have to hear me teach from time to time. You know, I probably overstayed my welcome in terms of
No,
sharing
not at all. You've been it's
long-winded responses.
finding people to agree with my picks, and which maybe I've sought you out just because I had a feeling that would be the case.
You don't mind giving me a little extra
No,
time?
we'll give you some time. We can have you back again soon. But fortunately or not, next up we'll have Carrie come back on for our wrecs. So stay tuned. Stay tuned after that. And welcome back to Alternate Ending. Care, we missed you. You were gone for a little bit. It was actually a little bit too long, to be honest. But no, we had a good discussion with Lief. Hopefully, people enjoyed learning about the our top 5 movies of 2015. But back to our rec segment, the segment that I look forward to every week. For those first-time listeners, this is where Carrie and I assign each other movie recommendations. But it's a rec with a W because sometimes, as punishment, we are assigning movies that we don't actually think the other person will like. And I'm not sure. I'm still in my heart of hearts trying to figure out what where the movie was that you assigned me falls. How do you feel about the one that I assigned you?
I think so. I had No Country for Old Men, and I realized that this is a movie that probably every guy out there likes. So it wasn't for me. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not a Western. It wasn't really a Western, but No Country for Old Men was basically a guy that kind of comes upon a drug deal gone bad scenario. There's lots of shooting in Mexico. It was one of those movies where it was fine. I get good acting performances. It was with Tommy Lee Jones, who I like, Javier Bardem, who had a crazy performance. This very creepy dude performance. So he's almost worth seeing it. I guess he kind of makes the movie. Josh Brolin is in it as well. But it's one of those, like, drug deal gone bad. It just doesn't appeal to me from a plot perspective, but I understand why people like it.
Yeah, winner of 4 Oscars, so you are probably in the minority.
I'm sure I am.
I did not see this week a lot of support going your way, saying, terrible movie. In fact, I saw Mike Garrigan posted that it was, I think, number 53 or so on his top 100 list of all time. Andrew Jones also wrote in, throwing some love its way. So I ended up watching this with you just because I had nothing else to do necessarily. So I kind of kept you comfortable while we were watching, and I fell back in love with watching the movie again. There's so many great scenes in it. Ended up winning four Oscars that year, and one for Javier Bardem as well.
He was definitely the highlight. I mean, from a creep perspective.
All right, well, I'll have to really, because I'm trying to throw you movies that I think you'll enjoy. Not that necessarily you'll enjoy.
Did you think I was going to enjoy that?
I wasn't sure. I knew it's a great movie, so I just
not really into
I
westerns.
wanted to expose you. It's not a western.
Ish things like
It's
gunfight.
Just because it's in
gun
Texas
battles.
doesn't mean it's western.
That's the one. I've had 2 weeks in a row of like gun battles.
Don't worry, I've got one for you. Not coming up soon. So just be
I'm
patient.
losing faith.
And in return for No Country for Old Men, you gave me a rec that was bequeathed to me from Grandma Shelby. Random Hearts.
How was it? Was it random?
1999 movie. 2 hours, 12 minutes. So long. Your movies you give me are
It's really
so long.
long for like one of those kind of like, what year was it again?
1999.
1999.
IMDb gives it a 5.0. That's a
That's a little
cautionary
low, yeah.
sign there. And then Rotten Tomatoes, Dagger in the Heart, 15%.
That is low.
So
I haven't actually seen it. I was just going on her winks, nods. that it was
directed
gonna
by.
be
Well,
good.
there are some winks and nods probably for Grandma Shelby that she would have picked up on. Some things, but it basically deals with two people who don't know each other are kind of brought together through tragedy and realize that they're connected in some way. I don't want to spoil it for those who haven't seen it, but I really can't from the bottom of my heart recommend people seeking this out. Stars Harrison Ford, who you'd be like, oh, Harrison Ford, I'll see anything he's in. This is just such a long movie, and I don't know if it really goes. The premise is interesting enough. It's just kind of poorly executed. And there's a whole bunch of side plots to it. Also stars Kristen Scott Thomas, directed by Sidney Pollack, who also did Tootsie and The Firm. So he's a very capable director. This one just kind of went on really long, and I felt like it could have been a much shorter movie and a much more focused movie on the actual main premise of the movie, which is this kind of this situation that brings these two characters together and realize that they're connected, and kind of focusing more on that. So that's...
Yeah, I'll give Grandma that feedback.
Yeah, I mean,
she'll love
break
that.
it to her softly, like gently, very gently.
Wade is going to become her new favorite.
Oh, no.
Her new
I don't
favorite,
want to lose that
whatever
title.
you are.
Well, let's... what do you got for me this week? I'm really hoping you're going to pull out something that I can just... I don't have to go in the shower and scrub myself off with a wire brush afterwards. What do you got for me?
So, well, I have two just on the off chance that you have seen one of these, but I feel like because you've seen almost everything post 1985, I had to go older.
I feel like that's a compliment.
I don't know if it is or isn't, but anyway, so it is. Have you seen 12 Angry Men?
I have not seen 12 Angry Men.
You haven't?
Mm-mm. I know about it. 50s?
57.
Okay. Yeah.
So, a juror on a murder trial basically slowly manages to convince others in the case that it's obviously not as clear as it
odd
seems.
Pick. How'd you come up with this one?
Because
Did
it's
you
an 8.9.
pull it out of the
It's
ether?
an 8.9 on IMDb.
So
I'm
you
trying to find good ones for you.
Hey, me too. Me too,
Yeah,
Claire. I'll accept
keep
your,
working on that.
I'll accept your 12 Angry Men.
Actually, it wasn't just IMDb though. I had kind of an ask around thing. 'Cause here's how I look at it. Pretty much everything that I've seen, you have also seen, because I only saw like 7 movies before I knew you. So unless I want to like wreck you Independence Day,
So you're wrecking me a movie you haven't seen.
Yeah. Is that okay?
I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest. There are no rules to it necessarily, but it does feel a little bit
You didn't really like
disingenuous.
Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken.
Right. Yeah. I mean, have we gone through all of the movies that you think that you've seen that I haven't?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, again, have you seen Independence Day or Jurassic Park, the original?
Done. Check. Yes.
So, or Indiana Jones. So,
also.
Titanic.
Yep.
So really, that's it.
Nothing left
12
in the
Angry
well.
Men for you.
Okay, 12 Angry Men. I'll accept. I'm interested because one of the things we had Carolyn Zielinski write into us today and suggest, us going back and looking back at some more classic type movies. And it's actually something we've discussed of adding to the segment. The segments our show is already way too long probably. So finding room for it would be tough, but we're interested in exploring kind of older movies, maybe ones that are on the AFI's top 100 list, and just kind of going through those little by little. This will be kind of a way to test that out and to see if 12 Angry Men holds up. And I, in return, will be...
is it going to be Gunman on fire?
No, there's no gun. There's no gunman on fire. No gun in the title, no fire.
Okay,
no,
what is it?
No, it might be some death. I'm not really sure. No, I am sure. But I'm not going to tell you. You're going to be given a movie that won 9 Oscars. 9 Oscars, Carrie. Are you ready?
Is it Avatar?
No, it's not. No, it's not Avatar.
Okay.
Enjoy The English Patient.
Oh, geez.
Enjoy.
I think I've seen parts of it. I think I fell
What
asleep.
happened to the other parts? Yeah, you fell asleep.
There was a guy on a train.
Enjoy.
Is there a train?
Maybe it's trains, just planes.
I know the guy
automobiles.
that's in it, and then I think...
Yeah.
Thanks.
Enjoy. 9 Oscars.
Is this like one of those 4-hour ones, too?
Yeah, it's long. It's very long. Oh, so long. What are you going to do?
I'm going to probably get the Cliff Notes.
No, there's no Cliff Notes. You have to
No?
watch it. That's the rule.
Oh.
That's the beauty of the wreck. How can this be punishment? 9 Oscars.
I don't know. We'll see. I'll let you know. TBD on that one.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if we're inspired coming back from our trip to New York City. We hope you've enjoyed listening to this episode. Next episode, we'll be bringing you our most anticipated movies of 2016, where we go out and we do some research. We look at everything planned to come out in 2016, and we pick the ones that we think are going to be the ones that stick with us throughout the rest of the year. So thanks again for checking us out today, and definitely tune back for next episode at Alternate Ending. We'll catch you guys next time.